you're going to find the accessories that come with the Singer Simple 3337 inside this front little compartment. So when you pull off to the side, this whole part will be removed. Now what that also exposes is the free arm of this machine. So if you have a pant leg, an arm, or something small, you're able to kind of get in and slip it underneath the presser foot and around that area. So back behind that area is the little compartment and the accessories. So I want to go through what each of these are so you are familiar with them, and then as we do videos on each of their uses and the stitches that go with them, you know what to reach for. So there was a sealed bag and a loose foot. So this foot is actually the one-step buttonhole foot that I'm going to show you about. What it means by having a one-step buttonhole means you put the button in the foot and then it actually will help you measure. Do you need a buttonhole this long or do you need one smaller? And when you attach it on, there's even a little lever that's going to get pulled down, so you can't forget to do that. But we're going to show you all the steps how to make a perfect buttonhole. All right. Everything else that's in here. So let's talk bobbins. The bobbins that are needed for this machine, you do need to use the class 15 plastic bobbins. There's 3 in the packet and there's an empty one that comes with the machine already inside here. So a total of 4. Now for me, that's not enough bobbins. So definitely pick some up or order some as you need. You're probably going to need anywhere from 10 to 20 bobbins for most projects. There is a spool cap. We're going to talk about spool caps and also quality of threads too throughout our videos. But when we put a thread on the machine, it's going to lay down and this will help hold it in place. So we always want to put a spool cap on, and we're also going to want to put it on so there's no gap between that spool and the cap, so the thread doesn't get caught in between that area. Okay, standard foot is on the machine. Let's go through the feet that actually are included. So this is a foot, and actually my little seam guide, this will actually help you have a wider seam allowance. There are marks on the throat plate, but this can actually slip in and let you have a further marking or guide as you go. But there is a foot that actually has a pre-measured guide off to the side. So for keeping your seams nice and straight, or even teaching somebody how to sew, this is like training wheels. So highly recommend. This is a nice foot. This is like your standard presser foot, but then there's marks. You see all the red lines all the way across. So I'll use that from time to time as we go. The foot that looks like a little single toe, there is a letter I engraved in it. That is a zipper foot. Now, as a zipper foot, you can actually attach it on the left or the right. So we'll show you how to put a zipper in fabric. So whether you're doing a bag or something that requires that type of opening, you have the right foot. And sometimes instead of zippers, you need to put buttons on. I love this foot. I'm so glad to see this in this package actually. These blue arms help hold the button in place, and then you pick a zigzag. I'll show you how to get the right width for your button, and then you just go back and forth into all the holes. So that's your other foot there. Oh, you do have a spool cap that is a smaller one. It's kind of like a little small cone. So some of the spools that have a smaller end to them, that's the one that we'll use for those. So this little tool looks a little like an L shape. This is actually a screwdriver. You're going to use this to take your needle in and out. You're going to use it to take these screws out of the throat plate for when we clean down in here. It is so important to keep this machine free of lint and dust. Sewing is very linty. Fabrics that are linty include fleece and flannels, and just normal cotton fabrics get very, very linty, and that can prevent your smooth quality sewing that you're looking for. So make sure you get in and underneath here. Check out our video for how to clean this machine and how often you need to do that. You can also use that to take this foot off, especially if you're adding on like a darning foot or free motion quilting foot. Okay, this is a extra spool pin. This is a vertical one. There's a little place at the top that would actually sit here, and some spools are going to sit in that place. I am going to tell you when to put it here and when to put it on the one that goes horizontal. Okay, a couple more things. You do have a pack of needles. So needles, even though they say Singer needles, if you can get needles that are for any home sewing machine, they will fit this machine. We are going to talk about different sizes of needles, and we do have a ton of videos to help you understand what different kinds of needles are used for. So if you want to click in this upper corner where that little eye is, and I will link over to our whole series of needle videos that we have done, so you can learn. They're very short, so one needle type, about a 1 minute long video. Those are very handy. Seam ripper and brush. So on one end is your brush. We talked about cleaning that all out. You do not want to use canned air in this machine. Don't blow anything in here. If anything, suck it out with like a vacuum cleaner. Brush it out with this brush, a makeup brush, Q-tips, anything along that line, just don't blow it in. For the seam ripper, take the part off the end, switch it around, put it back in. Your seam ripper is here, and now you have a handle. So I always watch my students sometimes like trying to hold this little tiny seam ripper. I'm like, it's no fun to rip in the first place. Why don't you give yourself something to hold on to while you're doing that? All right, and this is a little cover. So for those feed dogs, sometimes your pattern might recommend that you lower the feed dogs down. On this machine, you actually just cover them up. So that just goes in and covers that. I'll explain that as we go. This one is actually a little piece of felt, sometimes put down onto the bottom here so your spool doesn't go spinning away. So like a nice little buffer for that area. Okay, so we're going to walk through all the different things that you can use these accessories for, but now you know where they were hidden, and if you want, you can even put them all back in there, close it, and then I like to leave this on while I'm sewing. It does help extend the work surface for having the fabric have a nice even table to and before the needle.